Okay, readers, it's dark and dreary here today, and it's a spooky month. So let's talk about what's coming out in the month of October. Thanks for joining me today. And I know this is a little late, and I'm not going to apologize for it because stuff happens and you're still going to get the content no matter what. So, looking at what was coming out in October, it was hard for me to get it down to 10. So, it's a little more than 10 this time. But some of them you're going to be able to get now, even though they're not due to release until the 8th of October, and I'm filming this before that. So there are some booksellers that are putting some things out early this month, and that I think that's good. So let's start with the first one, which comes out or came out on October 1st. Sorry about that. This is called No One Will Know by Rose Carlyle. This is a completely new author to me. And I just like the premise of this kind of propulsive sounding thriller. This is about a woman named Eve Sylvester, and she meets this couple named Julia and Christopher Highgate, and they have a ton of money and they need a nanny for their child. And she seems like the perfect fit. Why, you ask? There's no real reason. She has no experience as a nanny. She's pregnant. She hasn't taken care of a child before. She is a little bit curious about why these folks have asked her to be their nanny and have entrusted her in this place. Also, there are some weird requests that they're making of her, which is essentially that she not be kind of seen by anyone and that she just stays to herself with the baby. So there's lots of just little creepy things that are occurring. And Eve is starting to get a little suspicious and slightly worried about how this is going to go. So this does sound really good to me, and I hope it sounds good to you too. The next one I'm super excited about is The Mistletoe Mystery by Nita Prose. This is a novella, so it's only about 140 pages or so long. And it is, again, about Molly the maid. If you're a fan of Nita Prose and these books about Molly, you'll probably be as excited as I am that this is coming out. Even though it's a smaller book, I think it's just perfect for the winter Christmas season. So this is about Molly and her boyfriend, whose name I think is Juan, but don't quote me on that for sure. And they are planning for Christmas, and she's very, very excited because her gran made a big deal out of Christmas, most of her life living with her gran. And then there's a gift exchange that happens at the hotel where Molly the maid is now the supervising maid, and something is amok with this gift exchange. And so there's some mistrust and some things going on that Molly needs to get to the bottom of, and she's going to solve the mystery. So this one comes out on October 1st as well, and I love that it's green, and I just love that it's here. All right, so the next one is The Mighty Red by Louise Erdrich. I have not read anything by Louise Erdrich, although I have the sentence on my TBR on Goodreads. I don't own it. This Louise Erdrich is kind of some people love her, some people don't. She's a Pulitzer Prize winning author. She's won the National Book Award as well. So she is literary fiction, and she's not for everyone. I will say that because I've heard a lot of people say, yeah, no, not so much. And this book actually has not gotten a lot of buzz yet on Goodreads. However, it is being featured, I've seen in a couple of areas where people are going to talk to her about the book. And so she is in a current situation of trying to hype it to others. But this one has a lot of characters in it. But the main character that everybody sort of seems to be revolving around is a young woman named Kismet, who's very apparently charismatic and also can sort of read the future, but maybe not her own future. And so a lot of people are in love with Kismet. A lot of people are concerned about Kismet. Everything seems to follow around Kismet in this description. This book takes place in Argus, North Dakota, which is a place that I haven't read a lot of books that are set in. So that's interesting to me. And what I'm going to say is this is kind of the synopsis that I would say would help you understand what this book is about. It's a novel of tender humor, disturbance, and hallucinatory mourning, mourning. It is about on-the-job pains and immeasurable satisfactions, turbulent landscapes, eating native weeds growing in your backyard. Ordinary people who dream, grow up, fall in love, struggle, endure tragedy, carry bitter secrets, men and women both complicated and contradictory, flawed and decent, lonely and hopeful. It is about a starkly beautiful prairie community whose members must cope with devastating consequences as powerful forces upend this. This book, The Mighty Red, is about our tattered bond with the earth and about love in all of its absurdity and splendor. This reviewer says The Mighty Red is a triumph. So I almost didn't put it forward to you because it seemed like a lot. But some of you, I know your reading taste, and this might be just the thing for you. What I would love for you to tell me is about whether or not you have read Louise Erdrich before, in which book you've read, and how you felt about it, because that would be good for me to know if this is something I want to pursue. This one I really am excited about, and I do plan to get it in some form or fashion and to read it, and that's the sequel by Jean Hanff Korelitz. I have read the first book in this series and I really liked it a lot. And I can't tell you really a whole lot about this book because the synopsis starts off by telling you what happened in the last book. And I don't want you to know that if you haven't read the plot, which is the first one. So it does, though, follow one of the characters in the plot and what has happened to her since that book ended. And I really can't wait to discover what happens in this one. So again, this one's already out. It's come out on October 1st, and there's nothing stopping me. I still have birthday money. But again, I'm trying to remember, I think I purchased the plot on audio. So do I want to get it in hardcover and not be able to get the other one in hardcover? I don't know. I'll figure it out. But the sequel is a book about books and authors, and it's a suspenseful, probably propulsive novel. The next one is a horror novel, and it is quite creepy sounding. It's not getting a lot of buzz yet either. And also comes out on October 1st, and this is Good Dogs by Brian Assman, and this is about a number of werewolves that are in a pack, and the leader of this pack is, I think, Delia, and there is something is happening that is forcing them to make decisions about what they can do and do they relocate. And while it sounds pretty incredible in the description, I don't want to give too much of it away, but I do think I'm not going to necessarily grab it really quickly. I'm going to watch if other people start talking about it. But you gotta have some horror in the month of October. So that was one that I was intrigued by for sure. And it has a great bright cover. I mean, who could resist that, right? So the next one is The Last One at the Wedding by Jason Rekulak. And this comes out on October 8th, but it's been released early to certain people who happen to sneak into their Barnes& and Noble and ask about it or see it on the shelves. Barnes& and Noble does often release books early, and that's fine. They're able to do that in some cases, and so they have. I've not read anything by Jason Rekulak, but I have been watching this one because I love the cover and I want to read a book by Jason Rekulak. In fact, if you watched my TBR video for October, you'll know that Hidden Pictures is also on that TBR. But this one is about Frank and his daughter. He and his daughter haven't spoken for at least 3 years, and her name is Amy, I think. Is it Amy? Maggie. But she calls him suddenly for the first time and she tells him that she's getting married and she's in the New England area and she wants him to come to her wedding. So again, this is a big deal for Frank because they haven't spoken in 3 years. He's been missing her terribly and he's just ecstatic that she's called and invited him to this wedding. But when he gets there, he discovers that she's marrying a billionaire, kind of a tech influencer kind of a guy. So that was a bit of a surprise to him. And then he also discovers that things are weird and they're not all talking to him and something is amok. It's said to be a brilliant suspense from a true modern master. We shall see, shan't we? But I'm definitely going to read Hidden Pictures first because it's on my list. And did I order this one? I may have ordered this one with my birthday money. I might have. Yeah, I think I did. So that one will be coming in too. And hopefully, good Lord, hopefully, this is a great author for me. The next one is This Cursed House by Del Sandine. This is a new author to me, but it is so good because the main character is from Chicago in the 1960s and moves to New Orleans to take care of a family there and gets a job with this family called the Duchan family. And her name is Gemma Barker, and she can see things that other people can't see. So she goes in and realizes that this family is under a curse. I think the grandmother lives with them too, and there's a number of them, and something's really wrong and creepy. And they're perceiving her in a way that is, she's not feeling comfortable with them in their home either. So she sets out to try to break this curse, and it sounds really, really good to me. And yeah, and it's a gothic horror novel. Who would not want a gothic horror novel in the month of October? I don't know. So October 8th, This Cursed House, Del Sandine. All right, readers, I had to go get a sweater because the weather is so dismal outside that means it feels cooler in here than usual, but I don't want to turn the air up because, still freaking soul-sucking heat here. All right. Another one on October the 8th is Sophie Kinsella's What Does It Feel Like? I bring this one forward because it's unique and different than some of the other books we're talking about today. I also think it might have a bit of a contemporary feel, but it's also an important read, I think, based on what I've learned about Sophie Kinsella. She says that this is her most autobiographical novel yet, even though it is fiction. It is based on some of her true life experiences. So this is about a novelist named Eve who one day suddenly wakes up in a hospital and discovers that while she doesn't remember any of it, she had a large malignant brain tumor that was removed. And so now she has to learn how to do a number of things again, learn how to live with this awareness, learn how to hope, how to continue to perhaps write, how to be with her family, grief. It says this short, extraordinary novel is a celebration of life shot through with warmth and humor. It will both break your heart and put it back together again. I tell you this as both a warning and an understanding of what this book really is about, but I think I'm up for it. So I feel like this will be an important one for me to read in the next year. All right, the next one is a surprise for me to bring forward because I don't usually talk much about middle grade books. I don't read a lot of middle grade books typically, and this is an author that I have not read, but I have wanted to. And there's actually two authors for this book, which is called The Bletchley Riddle. And it is Ruta Sepetys and Steve Sheinkin who have collaborated on this book. There are two characters, Jacob or Jakob. I'm not sure which because I haven't listened to it yet, but it is spelled Jakob. And Lizzie, is that her name? Lizzie, his younger, quirky sister. And it is written by these two authors, which possibly means that one of them sort of wrote more of the perspective of Lizzie and one of them wrote more of the perspective of Jakob, as sometimes happens, but I don't necessarily need to know that. What does happen though is their mother is dead, and so Jakob goes to work with the code breakers. The Bletchley reference here, of course, is to that during World War II. And Lizzie tries to figure out what happened to their mother and what caused her death and the circumstances around this sort of mystery to them. They're getting some messages about this, and they're not sure if these messages are accurate or if someone is trying to trap them into something that is a little bit nefarious. So I love this cover. I have wanted to read Ruta Sepetys for a while. I am curious about this one, and so while I may not purchase it, I may try to find it at the library because I don't know, it might be fun to read a middle grade novel and to start my journey with Ruta Sepetys there, and then go on to one of the more YA titles as well. So let me know if you're a Ruta Sepetys fan, and let me know if you know who Steve Sheinkin is, because I really do not. The next one comes out on October 15th, and this is the only title that I'm sharing for this particular day, but it is a nonfiction title, a memoir, and it is called Sonny Boy by Al Pacino. The reason I chose this one is because I am a fan of Al Pacino's work over time. I have watched him in a lot of movies. In particular, the Godfather series is one of my favorites. And also, I'm curious about his life. I know from seeing him in interviews, but also from the synopsis, that his mother was very unwell. His family had some mental health issues and some challenges there. He did not come from a place of privilege, and the only reason he ended up as an actor was because a teacher saw something in him, which often happens to young people, and then tried to support him in getting into the High School of Performing Arts in New York, which is a place where a lot of actors found their roots and found their success later on. And the synopsis says the book's golden thread is the spirit of love and purpose, which I was really drawn to when I was researching books that come out this month. But it does talk about his time in The Godfather, Serpico, Dog Day Afternoon. He really was a force, and he really worked hard to better himself as an actor and to continue to find roles that worked for him and that people would find entertaining. And so I think that he has succeeded in that. I would like to read a bit more about his life and just get to know him a little bit better. The next one is by an author that I have read before. This is book 3.5 in her Caraval series. And this is Stephanie Garber, and this comes with illustrations by Rosie Fowinkle. My sense is that this one is a little bit fancier than Caraval and Legendary, and there's another one too. The third one is Finale. So again, this is 3.5. So my sense is that it is the follow-up to the last one. I have not read but one of them. I read Caraval a long time ago. I think I own Legendary and haven't gotten to it yet. So this is a fantasy fiction, and I enjoyed it very, very much. And so I bring this forward because I wanted a variety of genres in this video, of course, but also because I did really enjoy that first one. I remember being pretty compelled by it. I don't know why I never picked up the second one, but it would be kind of fun to get caught up on that series. I don't know that it will happen in October, but I did want to press that into your hands in the event that this was something that you also had read when they were popular and first came out. So I'm not going to tell you a whole lot about Spectacular because I don't want to know a whole lot about Spectacular because it may spoil what happened in the other two books that I haven't read yet. But again, it comes out on October 22nd, and I think it'll be good. I really enjoyed that first one a lot. Another holiday book, but also by an author this time that I have not had a great success rate with, but a lot of you have. So I'm bringing this forward because I think it's important to do so. And I brought forward the first and the second book by this author, and this is Everyone This Christmas Has a Secret by Benjamin Stevenson. I started reading first the Everyone in My Family Has Killed Someone book, which was the first in this series about Ernest Cunningham. I didn't get very far in it. I was just not tracking with it. However, I soft DNF'd it, thinking that it might be something I want to get back to, and I'm pretty sure I own it. So I want to at least give it another shot. Then, of course, he's written another book called Everyone on This Train is a Suspect. And then this one, Everyone This Christmas Has a Secret. So this is his canon. This is the way he does this. He writes books about his family. I'm pretty sure these will still be about his family. And they have a sordid past, his family. They're pretty criminally oriented. And so that's all I really know. And I don't remember a lot from everyone in this family has killed someone. So I would probably need to start that again at the beginning since I DNF'd it pretty early on. But I know a lot of you and a lot of people really, really do love his books. So this third one has about 256 people have rated this, and he's at a 4.30. Again, he's very well liked by a lot of people. It just may have been me. It just may have been the mood I was in at the time, but I do plan to give at least the first one another shot, and then we'll see where we go from book two and book three. If you have read book two and let me know if you have to read them in order. That would be something that you could tell me that would be helpful because I don't know the answer to that. But yeah, I mean they're clever titles. He seems like a great guy. I think he's Australian. He's from New Zealand somewhere. And yeah, I think the narration, I feel like when I first tried to read it, I tried to listen to it too. So I may this time try to go at a different route, maybe even Kindle, because I tend to read Kindles faster, but we'll see. But anyway, Everyone This Christmas Has a Secret comes out on the 22nd of October, which will give you plenty of time to read the other two if you should choose to do that before Christmas, which I might do. It's a challenge for sure. This next one, which also comes out on the 22nd, was originally published in February 2011. So this is a re-release of an older book that I had not heard of. I suspect that was the reason they re-released it. And this is Run by Blake Crouch. And it is a thriller, and I am a very big fan of Blake Crouch. And I have already pre-ordered this because I really want to collect all of his novels and read all of his novels. This one is about a rash of bizarre murders that have been sweeping the country. There doesn't seem to be any connection. They're like not solvable. And a police officer walks into a nursing home and unloads his weapons on the elderly people and the staff in this hospital. So let me read this synopsis to you because it's quite something. It does reveal a lot of information, but it's quite something. Okay, 5 days ago, a rash of bizarre murders swept the country, senseless, brutal, seemingly unconnected. A cop walks into a nursing home and unloads his weapons on elderly and staff alike, a mass of school shootings, prison riots of unprecedented brutality, mind-boggling acts of violence in every state. 4 days ago, the murders increased tenfold. 3 days ago, the president addressed the nation and begged for calm and peace. 2 days ago, the killers began to mobilize. Yesterday, all the power went out. There's more, but I think that's enough for you to understand what we're dealing with. This sounds very compelling, very excited to get my hands on it. It's a long time for me to wait, and I love that cover, and I absolutely love Blake Crouch. I really, really do. I don't think I've ever not liked something I've read by Blake Crouch. All right, and then the last couple I'm bringing forward come out on October 29th. So this next one is This Motherless Land by Nikki May. This one is, and she's a new author to me, but this is a retelling of Mansfield Park, which made me really connect to it. But this is a book about culture, race, love, ethnicity, possibly about privilege and education as well. So this main character's name is Funke, I think, Funke or Fun, I don't know. I really don't know, but I'm going to try to find this author and see if I can figure that out. Nevertheless, her mother is an artist and an art teacher, and her father is a professor. And she is, for some reason, something occurs with her family. She's sent to England to go and live with her cousins. And she's not crazy about England. She doesn't like the food. She doesn't really feel welcomed by her mother's family, who took her in, except that they have a young girl named Liv, who is her cousin. And they connect, her and Liv, right away, and everything seems to be going fine. And they grow into adulthood as very, very close friends. But then something happens, and each of them have to make a decision and chart a path forward that is different than they anticipated that they would have to do. And it just sounds like something that would be right up my street. I also wonder if for me to read this, I would need to and want to reread Mansfield Park. And I think I more than wonder. I think I probably would want to do that either before or after. But because it's been a long time since I read Mansfield Park, I could probably look it up in my treasury of literary masterpieces and get the synopsis back again, but it would probably be better to read it. And I don't remember Mansfield Park being very, very long. So, this Motherless Land is a sweeping examination of identity, culture, race, and love that asks how we find belonging and whether a family's generational wrongs can be righted. That's all I needed right there. That was absolutely all I needed to say yes to that book. And my last book is a nonfiction book for this list, and this is a memoir as well. And this is called Gather Me, a memoir in praise of the books that saved me by Glory Edim, who is the founder of the organization called Well Read Black Girl. I can't even tell you. Family, community, resilience, and an ode to the power of books to help us understand ourselves. Glory started the Well Read Black Girl Book Club at the age of 30, but she's been connected to public libraries where she discovered books for a long, long time. I wouldn't say I discovered books in my public library because my family had stacks and stacks of books, but I will say that my public library has been a significant player in my life over time. And it's one of the reasons why I support libraries and love them so much now. She was also then discovering books she wasn't being taught anything about in class. And she started then to create this community of 500,000 other readers. To say that I think that this book will be life-changing for all of us to read, I think is an understatement. She discovered Nikki Giovanni, Maya Angelou, Toni Morrison, Audre Lorde. She just talks about how this whole thing exploded for her in a way that she decided it was important to bring it to others as well. So, ready for that, October 29th. Can't wait. Thank you for joining me today in this anticipated reads list. Let me know what you're anticipating most in the month of October. If you're planning to read horror, do share with me the titles that you are going to read, or share with me the titles that you have long loved, because I do want to get to a good bit of horror this month. And I'm also plugging along on some of the other things some loose ends that I want to tie up, those kinds of things. So I appreciate you so very much. Thanks for watching. And as always, happy reading. Bye.